So where did the title Imperial Dreams come from?
The film is shot in the Imperial Courts housing projects out in Watts. So it has like dual meanings, you know. So it's a little bit representing, it's representing the projects and everyone in Watts, but it's also representing this guy's understanding of where he wants to get to and kind of all of the things above him.
Comfortable?
Yes.
I love you, okay?
Okay.
It's okay.
The hood is the cruelest of prisons, the most unusual of punishments.
Why you running so hard?
You're born into it. And when you're born in prison, you don't know what to do with the freedom.
Hey, this is Mike, and we're at the 2014 Philadelphia Film Festival with Malik Vitthal, who won the Best of Next Award, Audience Award, at the 2014 Sundance Film Festival for his movie Imperial Dreams. Welcome to Reelblack.
Thank you for having me.
Now, it's coming out soon, but tell us about the film.
The film's about a reformed gang member who's trying to become a novelist, and it takes place in the projects out in Watts, Los Angeles.
Wow, and we had a chance to see it, loved it, amazing. This is your debut feature, amazing debut, amazing cast, just a great story overall. Like, tell us about the cast, which is very unique.
Yeah, we're lucky to have great diverse cast. It's led by an actor named John Boyega, who previously acted in a film called Attack the Block, this British film. And we're pretty lucky to have him come out early to research his role in the film, and everything else kind of fell from there. And we got Anika Noni Rose, we have Keke Palmer, we have DeAndre Bonds, we have Rotimi. So we have a pretty wonderful cast. We're really lucky to have a great team to bring everyone together. We had a great casting director, Kim Coleman. So,
well, one of the cast members that really brings it home for me. It's a South Central gang story,
yeah,
or guys he's trying to get out of a gang, and you got Glenn Plummer,
yes,
to being there playing the uncle,
yes,
like, and he's one of my favorites from one of the quintessential South Central LA movies, South Central.
Yeah,
how did you get him? And
you know, Glenn was a blessing. We were lucky enough to get him. As I was writing the role, it felt like it may be right for him, and we reached out, and luckily he was available. And he kind of came in and brought his own ownership to it, and because he's worked in that genre, was able to kind of build upon that and find something new. And you know, it's great. His character is a special performance that he gives. So I'm excited for people to see like an updated version of Glenn's work. You know?
Right. No, it's great, and it definitely it almost feels like you're reading a book when you're watching it. The way the story is told and so layered and textured. What was your inspiration for making this film, or when you saw the story?
5 years ago, I was out in the projects in Watts, and I met a young man named Bobby Yeye Jones, and he had a similar story. You know, he grew up in a family of gangsters, and basically at an early age he learned that to get power he kind of had to go out and do street business. And you know, after spending a lot of time in jail as a teenager, he started reading and writing a lot and realized that there was another way.
Right.
And I met him when he was at that transition point where he's like, look, I want to get out of gangs, I want to write my own books, I want to be in movies. And I was like, it sounds interesting. So we just started hanging out as friends, and from there it seemed like there was a story, so we just jumped into it and wrote the script. And soon after, maybe like 6 months after, he got busted again for felony gun possession. They were going to give him a gang injunction. They were also going to give him, you know, parole violation. It was going to be a total of 15 years. And basically over the next 6 months, I worked with his public defender, and we gave him the script and a short film that we made that basically showed him, look, this kid's trying to turn a new leaf. And they eventually knocked his plea bargain down to a 1-year deal. So they dropped a bunch of the charges and kind of saw that this kid's trying to, you know, change his life around. So it's been a very interesting process, and he served that year, and then after that we got supported by the Sundance Institute, and they came on and helped us develop the script. And then we went to another lab in Jerusalem where they brought me out there 3 times in 2012, and they also helped us develop the script. And from there, we found a production company, Super Crispy Films, and all of our producers like Catherine Fairfax Wright, Jonathan Schwartz, and Andrea Sperling, they helped us develop the script to get it ready for the screen, and then we shot last September 2013.
Right. So, I mean, this is your first feature, but how did you come to filmmaking? Did you know it was always something you wanted to do, or?
I grew up in a pretty creative family, so they always, we always had everything available to us, a lot of musicians, and, as kids, we made our own movies. And then I got into sports, and that was my life, until I was in my 20s, and, I kind of wanted to go professional at, ice hockey. That was my thing. And
Get out.
yeah, and that was my focus. And then after that kind of ran its course, because I started really late, went back to school and then found filmmaking and just kind of fell into it organically, did theater and did a bunch of films with my friends and was just hanging out. And I was like, the bossy one. It's like, oh, I know what to do. I'll make the scripts and I'll make the story and all that stuff. So.
Wow. Now this is your first feature, but this is not your first time making a film in Watts or working with Flying Lotus. Can you
No.
talk about how that developed?
I've made a few short films in Watts before. That's basically how I met Bobby Yeye Jones. Is just being out there, and he came up to me, and I from there met everyone else in the community. From there, I met Flying Lotus when we were kids because we're family friends.
Okay.
So he grew up, and he was a filmmaker before he started making music. But we were all surrounded by musicians, so it's a natural step for him to be a musician and a filmmaker. I'm sure in a few years you'll see a film from him that'll blow your mind.
Okay.
So, I've just known him since we've been younger, and, I just asked him maybe a few years ago, hey, I'm thinking about making this movie, if you're around. And he was like, yeah, sure. So it's just,
Flying Lotus, for those who don't know, he's like the dopest musician.
Yeah.
And the score,
Yeah.
the music in this film is incredible. I mean, everything about this movie I really loved.
Thank you. For all filmmakers, it's difficult right now because you have to kind of balance the commerce with the creative, and, to get any film made is always a challenge. But with that said, I think it's appropriate. It should be like that. If you're going to have the ability to speak to a lot of people, you should be challenged so that you can, you can kind of commit to that and, share that message.
So, is there a defining film of this current wave of black film, would you say? Or?
It'd probably be all of them. I think it's just one large organism, all these films. Whose work I'm really liking right now is Flying Lotus. I'm really inspired by musicians because they have less things that they need to actually commit to, and they can kind of work in a more free atmosphere. So, a lot of the stuff he's doing right now, he's just pushing himself. And I'm excited for his next film. That's probably the artist that I'm most excited for. You see the You're Dead music video that he just made with his latest album, and it's off the chains. It's a work of art. It deserves to be in the MoMA.
So, Malik, do you subscribe to such a thing as a black aesthetic, or are there things that you're pushing in your work?
I guess I would, but I'm so influenced by everything I was raised around. I guess it'd just be a creative aesthetic. My godmother was Alice Coltrane, so it's like, I had some wonderful artists around me to kind of just witness. So I just see it as making stuff that people can love.
Okay.
But
But as far as like a commitment to making films about black folks, do you feel any responsibility?
yeah, definitely. I feel responsibility to everybody too, though. But I always like to go where the stories are juicy and they haven't been told too much. It's like gold mining. You know what I mean? You want to go to a place that hasn't been picked too much, and luckily we're in that vein, so we can go out there and rob it.
Let's go back in terms of film school. Like, there are a lot of people at film school or not film school.
Yeah.
I mean, what was USC like, and what are the advantages and disadvantages from your perspective?
So before I went to film school, I spent a lot of time in junior college doing theater and making my own films. And then after that, I went to work for a production company as an assistant editor and production assistant. So by the time I went to USC, I had a pretty good idea of what I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. So I took advantage of that, and it was great because they have every tool available. And I was lucky to be there at a time where people weren't abusing everything. So I basically just took cameras out all the time, and there's local studios in LA where if you tell them you're a film student, they will give you everything. So there was one time I shot a film where we were there at CBS Radford for 4 days, and they gave us lighting equipment, they gave us sound equipment, they gave us a whole backstage for nothing, for free, just because I was, just hustled them,
Okay. So you have the background. Now, there are a lot of filmmakers watching, film students. Like, in terms of making the first film, what is the biggest thing you learned in the process of doing it?
Probably writing. Probably writing, because you just have to give yourself the space to fail. You have to give yourself the space to experiment. 'Cause mainly that's what it is. You have to keep experimenting with every scene, with every character, with each storyline, with the themes, with your intentions, and continue to push clarity out of them by working them to their finest points,
Right. So, I mean, ultimately, what do you like? When I watch the film, I'm thinking immediately, and there's a line in the film. I don't know what the exact line is. I can't quote it. Maybe you can, about just when you're born in the hood, you're it's like being born in jail, or something, something to that effect.
Yeah.
So it makes me immediately think of the prison industrial complex and,
Yeah.
and the situation that young black men are involved in. Is that something that you were thinking about in the process of making the film or writing the script?
It's definitely something I wanted to respect. It's not something that I wanted to take, either side of. It's just, you got to show how hard it is for someone getting out of jail when they don't have an opportunity to get a job. So we just wanted to show what this character went through. Instead of making it something built in context, we wanted to just have the audience experience from his point of view. But there's a group that I'm involved with in Los Angeles called the Anti-Recidivism Coalition. And basically they're actively trying to change bills to help youths, when they get out of juvenile detention, have more opportunities.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what are the goals in terms of what do you hope people will take away from the film?
The film, I guess their own experience. I mean, we did layer it that way like a novel, so that even if people aren't familiar with the world, they can gather something different from it. So who's to say what someone else's life experience is to how they watch something, that how they perceive it.
Okay, that's good. I'm gonna pick up. I'm just gonna start with a question. If you can single on Malik, and just tell me a story. Like, do you have a mission statement in terms of the types of films that you want to make?
Yeah, I guess it would be some sort of. If I did have a mission statement, it'd be based around service. So all my films in some way will have a representation of service to the rest of us humans. I feel like, if you have this platform, and entertainment for me is service. If it's got strong enough values. First I want to entertain, but then inside of that I want to actually say something.
So what's next?
I'm working on some stories that are kind of about racial identity and how we attach our success to that. So I'm more focused on themes, and I'm also kind of getting into some clothing design, stuff like that.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
And
multi-hyphenate.
Yeah.
All right, Malik Vitthal. We're looking forward. Like, go where I'll make this like real personal. Like this is one of the best films I've seen all year, Imperial Dreams. And I urge you all, whenever it comes to a screen near you, to go see it. Go see it in theaters. It's worth whatever you have to pay to see this movie. It's the birth of a new artist, really. And I'm really appreciative that you took the time to spend with us.
Thank you for having me.
Only the ones that stop you from ever fighting again make you a loser. Make you go back to what's easy. What you know.
I'm running out of options out here.
All the other losses just serve to strengthen you.
What do I have to do for my son?
Prepare you for what's ahead.
My name is Malik Vitthal. I'm the director of Imperial Dreams, and you're here with Reelblack.com.
Oh, without the .com. We own the wall. It's not just the internet.